programming languages, a data structure is a specialized format for organizing, storing, retrieving, updating, and performing all these kind of actions with data. PD has two main data structures that are lists and arrays. A list is a fundamental data structure that represents an ordered collection of heterogeneous items. This is the main difference with arrays. They are used to store one data type only, while thanks to list, we can mix data type. We can create a list inside a message box, and we can write both symbols, such as hello or any word frequency. Make sure to use spaces to separate the items of a list. Here we can write some numbers, and if we print the list, it will show in a single line. We can also create multiple lists within the same message box. You'll just simply need to add a comma. Here we can write, how are you? 3, 4, 5. And if I hit the message box once again, you'll see how the first list was printed on line 1, the second list on the line below. Instead of printing the items of a list in the console, we can just use an object called listBox. This is made simply to visualize the elements of a list. Now let's see how to use lists to make sound. The object I want to use is called oscbank, and it is part of the else library. If we take a look at the help file, we can see how we can send a message box with a list for ratios and amplitudes. The way oscbank works is by setting the fundamental frequency, and you can send lists to define ratios of that fundamental frequencies and amplitude for each oscillator. Let's use this float box to set the fundamental frequency to 110 Hz. Then we can send the first list for frequencies. So I want not frequencies, but ratios. I want to multiply the fundamental frequency with harmonic ratios, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If I don't provide any other lists, it will set the amplitude to 1 for all oscillators. Let's multiply this by 0.1, then straight into the DAC. We can hit the message. Great. Now let's add a second list for amplitude. So I want the first frequency at a relatively high amplitude, 0.9, then 0.6, 0.3, 0.1. Oh, we have 5 frequencies, so let's add 0.2 here. I'm just typing random amplitude just to make an example. What if I want to dynamically change these elements inside the first list? So here we can talk about the next object that is always related to lists, that is Pack. If we read its help file, we can see how the object outputs a concatenated list from a series of inputs. So I need 5 numbers for the ratio here. So I need 5 inlets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of type float. Then I need to generate these numbers, and I want them to be randomly generated. So I can use rand.f, which output random numbers in the specified range from 1 to 10. I need to copy and paste 5 of these objects. Then we can connect the output of these random objects to the Pack inlets. Let's tidy up this patch. Much better now. If we don't trigger these random number generators, they won't produce an output. So we can use Metro and I want to output a bang every half a second. Great, then we need a toggle to activate the metro, and I can use a list box to visualize the result here. And here we have our list with random numbers in the range 1 to 10. I cannot send this list straight into OSC, so I need to find a way to substitute these numbers with the randomly generated ones. What I can use now are called variables. We can recognize them in the PD language because they start with a $sign. In this example, I want them to be incremental, so $1, $2, $3, 4, and 5. These are placeholder and they will be substituted by the incoming numbers. So let's take a listen. I don't want this multiplication and DAC either. I want output. This is not only a good example to talk about lists, but it's also a good example of what is called additive synthesis. What if I want to break down an existing list into individual elements? In this example page, I just changed the metro speed to a much lower pace so we can easily understand what is going on. And I changed randf with randi to get rid of all those decimal values that would make this list unnecessarily long. The object we can use to break down a list is called Unpack. And as for pack, we need to specify the number of outlets we want to create. Since we're dealing with a 5 elements list, we need 5 outlets here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we can create 5 float boxes. We can connect each outlet to its float box. We can hit the toggle. And here you can see how to break down a list into individual elements. This technique can be particularly useful in all those situations where you want to extract specific values from a list and send them to multiple destinations or process them as individual elements rather than as a full list. We can end this video by talking about the list object. If we open the help file, we can see how the list object will change its function depending on the argument we specify. There are a lot of them: append, prepend, store, split, and so on. The only one we're going to look at in this video is store. And if we open this subpatch, we can see that there are quite a lot of things to say about this function. So let's move one step at a time. The list object can be used without any argument like float or I. So we can send a list into its called inlet, A, B, C, and we can use a bang to output the stored list. I can use a list box to visualize the result. So we save the list, we output the list. If we use the keyword store, well, we can declare inside the object what list to store. So A, B, C, D. Now I can send a list in the leftmost inlet, like 1, 2, 3, 4. And if I hit this message, we can see how the list object appended the saved list ABCD to the input list. So this function append is also provided by the keyword append. But thanks to list store, we can somehow replicate this behavior. One super basic thing that I forgot to say about lists at the beginning of this video is that the position of any item, A, B, C, D, can be defined by an index number. we start counting from 0. So in this example, A is at index 0, B index 1, C 2, D 3. Knowing the index number, we can get access to the item value. List store provide a set of methods that can be used to get access to items in a list. So we can enter the help file, pd store, then pd more methods, and here we have all methods like set, get, insert, delete. I encourage you to carefully read the help file of all list objects and functions and methods because the examples are very clear. So what I want to do here is I want to get access to the first element of this list. So I can write a message, get 0. So this is my list, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I assume get 0 will output 1, isn't it? Let's find out. The output is A. The reason is list store is storing this list and not the incoming list that we might or might not trigger. So if you want to use get with list store, remember that it will get access to the index position of the stored value. Let's take a look at a couple more methods. We can use set to set a new item starting from an index. So starting at index 0, 1, 2, 3, I want the letter H. So we can set, and then I want to append this list, 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, and H instead of D. What if I don't need the letter H anymore? Well, I can delete the item at index 3. If you're a beginner, I encourage you to start experimenting with lists using Pack and Unpack. In case you want to dive deeper, you can start with list store and this set of methods: get, set, delete, prepend, and append. With all these objects, you'll be able to develop very complex systems. If you've learned something new from this course, I encourage you to support my channel by joining my Patreon page. The link is in the video description. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Ciao, ciao.